that are on the agenda, and we have no further reports. Mrs. Byrne, it's your turn to our leader.
Ready to begin.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get a roll call, please. Yes. Rob, please.
Here.
Rebecca, would you present? Jose Luis Godinez.
Present.
And Joe Johnson. Here. Edgar Paxton. Do we have any presentations or recognitions tonight?
None this evening.
Okay. Do we have any public comments on items not on the agenda? No, I got it. Okay. Then we have a consent calendar. Does anybody have any questions? Would someone like to make a motion?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
I second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Board action items, and I'm told.
You want the staff report first, Ms.?
Oh, yes. Of course, that would be.
Not a problem. I'm actually turning this over to Ms. Gruber, but this is our,
Say anymore. I want to.
yeah, okay, sorry. There we go.
Is the annual meeting where you approve the rates for the next fiscal year, for fiscal year 23-24 for the CFDs. And so the following resolutions, which is, I understand Bob's going to allow us to approve in one motion if he gives us proper direction. He's not even said yes. But effectively, these are, along with the parcels submitted to the county as the authority to levy the special taxes on the CFDs.
Do you have any questions, Ms. Gruber? Okay. Mr. Owen, if you want to tell us.
Sure. It would be in order to have a motion to adopt resolutions 2023-11 through 2023-24 inclusive, setting the special tax levies for each of the district's community facilities districts as set forth in the staff report.
And I'm showing through resolution 22.
Yeah, through resolution 2023-22 inclusive.
Oh, yes, 22. I'm sorry. I saw the next line.
That's all right. Would someone like to make that motion?
They could just say so moved also.
Okay. I wrote down what he said. So I would like to move that we adopt resolutions number 2023-11 through 2023-22 inclusive.
I'll second.
Okay, municipal view. So Ross Leisha,
Yes.
Rebecca Ortiz,
Yes.
Jose Luis Godinez,
Yes.
and Joe Johnson. Aye. Edgar Castellan.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay. 5.1. Now we move on to item 5.2.
And we're going to keep the Ms. Gruber show alive tonight.
Sounds good. All right. So this is the second of two board action items. You took the first one at the last meeting, declaring the intent to levy the maintenance assessment. That's the $15 charge per single family residential unit. Tonight is the public hearing and the adoption of the final resolutions. So the park maintenance assessment district brings in a little over $500,000 to the district every year for park maintenance. And with that, it would be appropriate for you to open the public hearing, take any testimony, and move on from there.
Okay, I would like to open the public hearing on this item. Is there anyone who would like to comment on this item? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. This is, Ms. Gruber, this is the one that is the $15 per parcel?
That's correct.
Okay, just want to make sure.
It is throughout the whole district.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Ms. Gruber?
I will take motion one. I move that the Board of Directors adopts resolution number 2023-23, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Woodbury Recreation and Park Maintenance District approving the final engineer's report of the Harupa Area Recreation and Park District.
Second.
Ross Leisha.
Yes.
Rebecca Rodriguez.
Yes.
Jose Luis Godina.
Yes.
Kim Cho Johnson. Aye. Edgar Castellanos.
I'll take the second. I move that the Board of Directors adopts resolution number 2023-24, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Harupa Area Recreation and Park Maintenance District ordering the levy and collection of assessments within the Harupa Area Recreation and Park Maintenance District for fiscal year 2023-24.
Second.
And roll call, Ross Leisha.
Yes.
Rebecca Rodriguez.
Yes.
Jose Luis Godina.
Yes.
Kim Cho Johnson. Aye. Edgar Castellanos. Motion passes by zero.
Let's keep it alive.
The next one is item 5.3, Ms. Gruber.
Okay. This is the resolution of intention for annexation number 39, which is the O'Reilly Auto Parts. It'll be about 8,000 square feet. Consisting of one assessor parcel number at this point in time. And it's the one attached to the station. Right up the street here. Yeah. For mission and home.
Are there any questions for Ms. Gruber? I will go ahead and open the public hearing.
Oh, this is not a public hearing. This is the first meeting. This is resolution of intention.
I'm trying to.
I know. Move along.
Yeah.
And then this will set the public hearing.
Okay, well, next time.
There you go.
I move that the Board of Directors approve and adopt the submitted resolution of intention number 2023-11 for annexation number 39 to CFD number 2016-1.
Second.
Ross Leisha.
Yes.
Rebecca Rodriguez.
Yes.
Jose Luis Godina.
Yes.
Kim Jo Johnson. Aye. Edgar Castellanos.
Yes.
Motion passes by zero.
Do you want to keep it rolling? I think so.
Item 5.4, adoption resolution 2023-26, declaring the month of July as Parks Make Life Better Month.
As Ms. Johnson just said, July is recognized as Parks Make Life Better Month here in California, as well as across the nation. So this is a resolution we do annually, just recognizing that. It's very fitting for everything we have going on, starting with our July 3rd fireworks show, concerts in the park, swim lessons, summer day camps. Staff has a plethora of programs and activities and just some fun stuff we'll be putting out for residents to do, either already planned district activities or just ideas and things they can do within our park system. We will have ongoing social media posts promoting it, recognizing, all of our facilities as well. So, it's something that we really do a lot of to help promote us and put out there and just, keep that Parks Make Life Better Month theme going the whole month long. So.
Any questions? Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
Yes, I move that the Board of Directors adopt resolution number 2023-26, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Harupa Area Recreation and Park District declaring July 2023 as Park Makes Life Better Month.
Is there a second? Second. Roll call, Ross Leisha.
Yes.
Rebecca Rodriguez.
Yes.
Jose Luis Godina.
Yes, although it should say Parks in the motion.
Okay, I will. So that it is plural parks.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's right. So Jose.
Yes.
And Joe Johnson. Aye. And Edgar Castellanos.
Yes.
Now we're on to item 5.5, which is cell phone reimbursement.
Yes, so this is all part of our budget package per se, but this is updating our personnel manual. This is item, section number. Oh, sorry, this is not part of the personnel manual. That's the next one. Confusing myself. This is updating our cell phone reimbursement policy, changing it from $25 per month to $40 per month. And this was funds that were included in our budget that will be coming up here shortly. available should you have any questions.
Are there any questions?
Yeah. I have some. Okay, so I understand reimbursing people for their use of their personal cell phone. If these are their personal cell phones, so they're using it for that. I'd like to know what percentage of their usage is business compared to their personal. Because I'm on Verizon, which we all know is probably the most costly plans out there is Verizon. I have unlimited talks, text, and data per month, and I pay $55 a month for that privilege. I do not see why we should be paying 60% of an employee's cell phone usage when they're using it probably less than 25% of the time for business. I just can't see justifying the additional expense. If they were paying $200 a month for a phone bill, which they may be if they went out and bought the newest, best phone, I'm talking simply about what it cost me for data usage, not for what it cost me to buy my cell phone. Because we're not buying their cell phones, these are their personal phones. So if you can get on the top of the line server, but all inclusive, all data, all text, all phone for $55 a month, why do we need to pay that much of their cell phone bill? I'd like the people on the budget personnel committee to explain that.
I think that it would be better for Mr. DeWitt to explain his thoughts on that.
Honestly, this is something that has been requested from the staff a number of times. They felt $25 was below the industry average for reimbursement, and in looking at it, it was. The $40 honestly is below a lot of agencies' reimbursement plans. Our staff uses their cell phones a lot for work, especially our recreation staff and communicating with our part-time staff. That's how they communicate via text message. So they're on their cell phones quite a bit throughout the day communicating with staff.
Right, but with plans having unlimited talk, text, and data, they can be on their phones the entire time they're at work, and they're not paying any more for their bill than they would that $55 a month. And I just can't see justifying paying $40 a month for something. Why are we paying, 70, that much of their phone bill? I personally cannot see that type of reimbursement. The standard that is not parks out there for everybody else is $25 a month. That's what private businesses pay pretty much all around. So I don't see paying that much of their bill. I mean, if they're not smart enough to be on an unlimited plan, then we need to talk to them about changing that. But they're not paying anymore for however much time they're on it. It's all included out. Everybody's plans is unlimited, pretty much. So I don't see paying $40 of a less than $60 bill every month.
Were you able to observe any viewers who did request that they have been requesting? So, we certainly don't want any dissatisfaction with our employees, but were you able to see any proof of that that you can share with us?
I'm unsure what your question
Well,
is.
if they're requesting it, you say, and they have been requesting for an increase. So were they able to establish to your satisfaction, here's the bill, to answer,
Well, we don't ask for their cell phone bill. That's not our
no,
prerogative.
no.
But in looking at other agencies requesting what they're reimbursing, a lot of them were $50 and $60 a month.
So that was the data that we took into sure of what
So,
Ross was.
Some agencies take into consideration contributing towards replacement values of phones. That's not something that we looked at, but that's one of the reasons why they're higher in the $50 and $60 range.
I hadn't thought quite the way Ross has put it, but it does now enter a question in my mind in terms of how he said that, or offers that we should look at it. That's what we don't have.
When on our committee conversation, this was in lieu of providing them a reimbursement was in lieu of phones, right? Which will.
And for us to, on our plan, we can get a line for $35 a month, plus the cost of the phone. This in the long run will still cheaper. There's taxes on top of that as well. So this was cheaper than providing phones to our employees.
That's why we switched over from providing funds to our employees to this, because then they
And
only have one.
there was an inconsistency of who was being provided, and yet everybody was, the maintenance staff, for example, there was only 2 people in maintenance staff provided with the phone, but they were communicating with their staff on their personal phones. That's why we went away from that policy and applied it to everybody across the board.
Yeah, I know, listen to you and I think it's more of a paintbrush than being able to answer the process questions. I mean, that's how I'm seeing it or hearing it right now.
Well, I mean, the only thing I compare it to is I looked up
Yeah, that's
what
what
I
I'm saying.
paid, and since I bought my phone from Apple, so I'm not making payments on my phone. What I'm paying for is strictly the service. And when I realized I'm only paying 55 and a couple of cents a month for unlimited whatever, I just can't see justifying spending $40, and them only paying $15 for their own personal phone and using it whenever they're not at work, for their own personal business. I can't see why we should pay more than 50% of their bill.
I guess I compare this to paying a mileage, so correct me if I'm wrong, when we pay for mileage based on the IRS reimbursement, that isn't just for the gas to run the car, that is also for the wear and tear on the car. And so are we paying, does the $40 help pay for the wear and tear on the phone that's going on and to help them, because I guess it's reaching a point where our employees have to have a personal phone. They have to have a personal cell phone to do their job. I don't think there's any employee that can't have a personal cell phone in the agency. So we can't just pay for the data. We also have to at least pay a smidge that helps them have the phone, because it's not, as we all know, it's not just about having a phone. It's about paying and having data. It's about paying for a phone. So to me, that's, that it is the equivalent of giving mileage for driving in a car, and we have to pay more than just the data. Now, whether the $40 a month is what we want to pay or not, that is, of course, at the prerogative of the 5 of us to decide that. But I don't necessarily have an issue with it. I understand where Mr. Legion is coming from, but I think that we have to recognize the imperative nature of them having a phone, and we have to be reimbursing enough to make it worth their while to have it.
Well, I think that it's speaking out of both sides of our mouth, if you don't mind me saying, but again, I'm caught with the quandary of the fact that the request was made by the staff, but I don't feel that we've done the research that Ross has. So I'm reluctant to say yes to it at this time.
Well, if we're gonna compare phone bills, I have a monthly payment on my phone. And the $40 would not cover that, even with the unlimited plan.
That's paid for your phone. That's not just paid for the service. See, most people,
but
when they
there's-
go to the store and they buy a phone, they take the cost, that $1,200 cost of the phone, or $1,000, because most of them are $1,000 now. And they divide that up amongst your first year's payments or whatever, year and a half payments to pay for that phone. So when you see a phone bill of $110, only 50 of that is actually going towards your monthly service. The other part is going to pay for your phone. And I don't think that we are buying their phones. So I don't see why we should have to pay for any more than just their usage.
Yeah.
So to me,
It's like
even at $30 a month reimbursement for the average cell phone company, like I said, I'm on Verizon, which we all probably agree is the highest one. I'm paying less than $60. So if the $30 a month would cover 50% of their phone bill, or a little more than 50% of their phone bill, I feel that that's more than adequate. That's just me. I mean, you guys can vote how you want. I can definitely be outvoted in this.
No,
My personal feeling is I can't justify spending tax dollars in that extreme for this particular item. I think that's way too much money for a phone. when everybody has unlimited talk, text and data.
Well, everyone does.
Well, they should, because they're cheap. If you can get one for $50 a month, it's cheap. So
Is there any additional research done based on what Ross has been offering?
Had I known prior to this, I could have had something available, yeah. I could have had something available that brought in the research that we have done to come up with that. A quick Google search here. What's the average? Many companies offer stipends between $30 and $50, the average being $40.20 per month. For determining what the proper reimbursement is, employers should consider offering employees using work-related tasks and plan accordingly. So I can bring more information. If that's what the board would like.
I would need that at this time.
I don't need more.
Not gonna use that for it.
Would one of you like to make a motion?
Yes. I move the board of directors approve the update to the cell phone reimbursement policy.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
no,
Okay. Motion passes 3-2. Thank you. Okay, item 5.6, update of personnel manual to reflect floating holiday.
Another one of the discussions through the budget process that was came up was the how to address the growing number of federal, state, and local recognized holidays. Over the past couple of years, there's been a number of new holidays that have been recognized. Here in California, Juneteenth, which is this past Monday, Cesar Chavez Day. There's a couple of ones that have come up as well as a couple of ones that are being proposed.
And Juneteenth is a federal holiday.
And Juneteenth is a holiday, right? And is this something that the board wanted to entertain? And if so, what is it we want to do? And the consensus was basically, being the industry that we are in, serving the public, we can't be closed another day. And so that's where the idea of the additional floating holiday came into play, in which the employee could choose to take time off to celebrate whatever holiday was their preference, and would still leave the office open. Obviously, assuming that we still have the coverage, based on the supervisor's approval and stuff. So that's where the concept of the floating holiday comes in. It's not an impact to our budget. The employees essentially still being paid the same amount of hours annually. But this is the update based on those discussions as we talked about previously.
Anybody have any questions?
I don't agree with this one either. We already have 11 or 10 and a half days. The people that are footing the bill for these holidays, the taxpayers in general, get 7 holidays a year. And I just can't justify spending, if I'm paying for everybody else to have more days off, I would object to that. So no, I object to the floating holiday on that basis. You already got 3.5 days more than everybody else that's paying the bills. So no, I can't vote for this either.
I would like to say, the other discussion that was had at the budget and personnel committee meeting, Mr. Fessel, speak up if I am mistaken. This floating holiday was just part of the package that we're offering our employees this year. What with the inflation, everything that we've been having. Last year, we offered them 4% and a $1,000 bonus. This year, we are offering 4% and an additional floating holiday. Yes, there are more federal holidays, et cetera, and we're not recognizing those at this point in time. I.e., we don't have a policy that says, every federal holiday. We were just at Father's Day visiting with my daughter and son-in-law. He works for the federal government. And he was making some comment about how he was off on Monday. And I said, oh, why are you off on Monday? Oh, it's Juneteenth. Like, oh, wow. Okay. Did not think about it. In any case, so that is why I am in favor of it, because I feel like it's just part of the entire package that we're offering our employees and trying to make our workplace reasonably in comparison with other similar workplaces.
I need to comment on that. The bonus was a one-time thing. You're talking about giving them this in perpetuity. That doesn't sound well. You're talking about just here, in perpetuity.
Just like you said, they should get an unlimited plan. People should get a government employment then in that case as well, right, to receive these benefits.
If everybody worked for the government, who'd pay for it?
Right, so that's a choice they're making to work here,
Mhm.
and they just have to get this benefit.
Once again, I'll be outvoted, but no, I do not agree with this. I think that it's just too much.
We don't have a floating holiday policy.
We do not have a current floating holiday.
For this would have one.
So this would be the one floating holiday that was given.
Yeah, because me also as a government worker, I have personal holiday as a plan, as part of my plan. It would make sense for you. For our district to have that option.
Was there a plan to add Juneteenth as one of the federal?
Oh, I think they have the choice to choose whichever holiday.
Right, but on
Or
top of
whichever
that,
day.
Or,
No.
yeah,
no,
No, because I think what the issue was is that, it starts to become, I think the employee would prefer to have a floating holiday because then they can choose to take it when they want, as opposed to getting a holiday that's based on when somebody's birthday was or when some other holiday was, and then that way they can use it as they see fit, yeah.
and I think the key thing here is for our district to do it in such a manner that we're still providing services, right? That we still have the offices open and keep things are still running. I think for me, that's the key thing.
Okay, any other comments?
I again have questions, but I think I have too many questions, that I want to seem to be on one side of the room and others on the other side of the room. I also can, I guess,
And if I may add, something that came up in our conversation in our committee meeting was, and this ties to the last item as well, because due to the high rise of everything going up, right, inflation, and obviously we can't keep paying everyone, right, like our pay can't keep up with the rate of inflation. We kind of have to sweeten the pot in other ways. So I think if a conversation, if my memory serves right,
Yes.
these last couple items are part of that. A part of that package.
and I realize that's what we're trying to accomplish, but I also see that there, in my mind, are other research items that might be looked upon. Again, I have too many thoughts and questions about that to say that my vote will be yes today.
I did have one comment on the G floating holiday. I thought we should add some language. It says employees. I propose that we add the language if we approve it. Employees may use the floating holiday anytime throughout the year by requesting it off in advance and receiving supervisor approval and I wanted to add, as per district time off request policies.
What does that do there? That's,
Well, it didn't mention the district policy for requesting time off. So I wanted to say that if when requesting a floating holiday, you have to follow the same policy you would follow anytime you're requesting time off. If you get your approval from your supervisor, you have to give advance notice. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, well, I will move the Board of Directors approve the update to section 518 of the personnel manual regarding the addition of a floating holiday.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
No,
Motion passes 3-0. Okay, 5.6. That's point
5.7, I'm sorry. Mr. Owen?
We can't hear you. You're muted.
There, is that better?
Yes.
As the board knows, they've conducted 2 closed sessions over this meeting and the prior meeting last week to discuss and evaluate the general manager's performance. The board and the general manager have discussed the specifics of that review. And this item is an amendment number 2 to the general manager's contract in conformity with direction given to me by the board in closed session. This would grant a $5,000 increase to the current salary of the general manager to be applied prior to the 4% cost of living if that's granted, that's the subsequent agenda item, prior to any cost of living adjustment. That is the only amendment made in this amendment number 2. If you
Anyone
have,
have any questions? Can I have a motion then, please?
Yeah, I move the Board of Directors approve and authorize execution of amendment number 2 to the employment agreement between the Hoop Area Recreation and Park District and the general manager as presented.
I'll say.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, so now item 5.8.
All right, item 5.8, this is a item that will adopt our 2023-2024 district salary schedule. What this is the 4% cost of living for all full-time employees. And before you, what you have is both the current schedule that was adopted back in April of this year with we did some personnel changes, as well as the proposed 23-24 schedule. If you have any questions, I will be available. I did want to touch on one point that the topic had come up, why we weren't doing the part-time salaries at this point, primarily because of the cost of living adjustments they've received over the past couple of years. Every January, they have been increased a minimum of 50 cents. Most of the time has been $1. There is some discussion of another merit increase for minimum wage that will kick in January of 2024. I don't know if the state will act on that or not, but there's also a here. Not referendum. It's on the ballot. Initiative, thank you. On the 2024 election that will raise California's minimum wage to $18 an hour. So it's something that we're very sensitive and we're watching and want to be mindful of it going forward. So that's why those numbers were not something that was looked at. So I'd be able to any questions.
So like I see lifeguard here, that didn't go up. I see.
So yeah, none of the part-time staff went up, it's just the full-time positions.
Are there any questions? Any other questions? Anyone? Okay, someone want to make a motion?
I move the Board of Directors approve the 2023-2024 district employee salary schedule.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And we're at item 5.9, the operating budget for fiscal year 2023-2024.
So this is the culmination of the past, 5 or so months worth of work here from the staff, the budget committee. And this is our 2023-2024 operating budget. There's some highlights in here we wanted to touch on. The general fund operating budget. The maintenance general fund is a $1.4 million, per se was coming up. The CFD's combined revenue is about just over $4 million. What I thought in looking at these numbers here, which was very, ironic or what, but if you're looking at the general fund versus the CFD, they're basically the same. Our general fund is just over $4 million. Our CFD combined is just over $4 million. I think it's showing we're keeping pace with our in the general fund because of the growth going on in the community, development wise, but also recreation wise. We've added obviously the operations senior center in there, the Ranch Rupa Regional Sports Park, Skyview Event Center, some big budgetary items increases in that general fund. I think that's encouraging because it shows we're not relying on the CFDs for operation. We are able to fund our operation efficiently. As we adopted the landscape and lighting district, the $15 earlier this evening, that's solely for park maintenance. But we can tell by this maintenance dollar right here, $1.4 million, it's nowhere near enough to fund the operation of the maintenance assessment district. I think one of the things the board has really looked at these last couple of years is in changing the mindset of when I first started, it was the maintenance assessment district doesn't bring enough money to maintain the parks, the general fund's having to supplement it. And we've changed our way of thinking. The park maintenance assessment district was created to supplement the general fund. I think we've gone away from that original idea, as Mr. Gruber can attest. And because of the CFPs, we've been able to spread some of our costs, obviously, which have lessened the burden on the general fund, but it's putting us in a financial situation that we're very sound. We still do not have a quote unquote reserve because of the funds on the books that's owed to the county through RDA for the redevelopment of Knowles Field here, Veterans Memorial Park, and Aggie Carter Fields. Until those are paid off or paid down enough, we call it, Rick Gallo calls it cash flow. But we have over $1 million in cash flow right now, which is equivalent to our reserve account. So we are sitting very comfortable when it comes to that. It's not saying that we're flush with money and we're going out, spending willy-nilly type of deal, but the money's in the bank to cover our bills until the revenue comes in, which is, we don't get our first tax allocation. We all know we all pay our property taxes in November and January. We don't get those funds until late March now.
The CFDs,
No, for just
the
your
general fund, oh, it's sometimes paid.
Yeah, and then we just got some of the last in within, some of the second payments are just trickling in over these last couple of weeks here. So we're not at a point that we are, Loretta's coming in to me, like she was 5 and 6 years ago. Hey, I need to transfer some money. We don't have it, and we're going to be tight. She wants to keep 100,000 or so. We've never even come close to that. So we're in a very solid financial situation. I think that's something that we should be very mindful of as to where we have come. I can talk about a lot of this stuff, in depth here, but I think, getting right here, showing that revenues for the general fund and revenues being CFD combined are within $10,000. This says a lot as to where we've come, primarily the general fund. There's the CFDs. I don't want to say it's guaranteed revenue, but it's based on, property taxes and people paying them, which is still going to come in. So I think it says a lot to get us to where we're at right now. Within the budget, there are a couple things here that we had talked about. One of which is the, what we got here? Filling the park maintenance inspector position, which was previously unfunded. The cost of living adjustments that we've adopted here. We're implementing the Park and Recreation Facility Inspection Act that we talked about previously. And then there's also the asset management system that will be part of this budget. Those are kind of the big items within this. One other thing that's accounted for in here, as you're all aware, we'll be going out to bid for our landscape maintenance contract. That's the biggest contract that we maintain. This park maintenance inspector, they're one of their sole responsibilities is going to be managing that contract, making sure that the contractor is fulfilling their obligations per that agreement. Essentially following them park to park, behind them, making sure that what they're supposed to be doing is being done. We have 38 parks in the system now. We've accounted for about a 20% increase from our current landscape maintenance contract. We've had it for going on 5 years now. We're all aware of the inflation that's taken place over the last 5 years. The price of gas, what it was back in 2017 versus now, has gone up. I don't even want to know what it is, frankly. And labor's gone up, so that's going to be passed directly on to us in these new contracts. So we're accounting for that as well. That's why I feel, this maintenance contract's probably going to be pushing $750,000 a year. Having just one person managing is, I think, is a very smart goal of the district, and making sure we're getting the bang for our buck. 10% slack on their end, if we can recover, that's paying for the position. So that's where we're at with the budgets. I would have any available for any questions you have. Ms. Gruber is available as well. If you have any questions regarding the CFD aspect of it, we already approved those rates coming in. We are typically conservative on our revenue estimates. And we try to, I don't want to say overestimate, but we're cautious. But we've talked about this and we're budgeting for our benefits. We typically budget a 10% increase or so. The last couple of years, we've been around 5.5% to 6%. We don't unfortunately get those numbers until late October. What they're going to be for the upcoming year, we'll be budgeting for those again. Not to get off the tangent here, but we've had a lot of discussions at the budget and personnel level regarding our benefits. We'll be looking at some other options to be that will be available to our employees coming forward, as well as we've been every year you hear of these huge increases that are coming in insurance. Insurance will go up. Insurance will go up. We've been pretty lucky so far. What a lot of different agencies are starting to do is taking that percentage savings that we have, about the 4% that we're averaging right now, and putting that away into an account. We talked to our accountant about how we can do it to save for the rainy day. So if we do get these 20 or 30% increases that everybody says coming at one point, it's not a huge hit to the district. We have a rainy day fund per se to fall back on. So we've been looking at things like that. And these things will all be things that come forward to the board. It's just it puts us in a much safer position if something like this were to happen. So now I'm available for any questions.
And this is a public hearing item, is that correct?
Yes, it will be. So it would be appropriate to open the public hearing now, correct, Mr. Owen?
Yes, probably best.
I will go ahead and open the public hearing. Does the board have any questions for Mr. DeWitt?
Yes,
Could we close the public hearing first?
No,
Yes.
Yes.
I have to open and close it right this second.
If there's nobody to speak, yes, you should.
Okay. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this issue? Seeing no one, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Okay. Board questions.
yes, the maintenance contract, that's a multi-year contract again.
It'll be a multi-year contract. Working on the documents right now. I believe it's set up as a 3-year with the option of 2 1-year extensions.
Did you not say in the past that we would looking at 2 suppliers as opposed to just one?
That we have we have the verbiage in there that will allow us to look at 2 contractors. There's going to be a larger contract, at 38 parks there. There's definitely companies out there that have the ability to take on 38. But if we get 2 smaller companies that maybe can't do that many, but between the 2 of them can, that might be advantageous for us, keeping our costs down. We'll be looking at all those different options when we come to that contract, which will be this September.
Any other questions?
Yeah, the general fund is now at 5-star thing. That's
All of our funds are at Parks.
Just one small at Chase, just a small, for petty cash purposes, but everything else is at 5-star, maybe 16. General fund, money markets, all of those are.
I think we've seen
Our interest for the year, we're gonna cover that here.
Those guys are general managers.
You'll be happy. Any other questions? Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I move that the board of directors adopt resolution number 2023-27, a resolution of the board of directors of the Fruita Area Recreation and Park District adopting the operating budget for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. And the adopted budget be prepared and submitted to the County of Riverside Auditor Controller's Office as required.
Instead of operating budget, it's the general fund budget. That's what you meant, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I believe that's what the front should be operating. Says, well, mine
You
says
don't have to
adopting
submit-
the general fund budget.
We don't have to submit the CFD portion of it. Only the general fund has to go.
Adopting the general fund budget. That's what mine's,
Mine's is operating.
I see. That's.
I think there was an update, maybe didn't get downloaded.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, we're approving both of them, but we only have to submit the general fund to the county.
Okay. And who seconded, did someone second that? Okay, thank you very much. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? It has to be a resolution.
Yes.
Okay. Rebecca McCarthy Burton.
Yes.
David Luis Godina.
Yes.
Kim Carol Johnson. Aye. And Esther Castellan.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, we got through all of that, and now it's item 6.1, the general manager's report.
Yes, a couple things I just want to touch on, the parks have been going out for 2 weeks. We've had our first year at Rancho Mariloma, which was a huge turnout. Probably the largest turnout for a concert in the park we've ever had, which was really, really exciting. Tuesday night was over at Rancho Regional Sports Park. Unfortunately, the turnout wasn't just wasn't there. Staff look at different reasons why. Part of it, we think, is just, logistically, it's the best facility for the concert. You get lots of empty parking, vendors could be close. The unfortunate is there's just not a lot of houses around that area. You have Loring Ranch just to the east of it, I guess. But beyond that, there's just not a large residential area around it. So we'll be reevaluating that in the summer, what works best for us. We do have a concert again this coming week. Just drawing a blank as to where that, I apologize. But our big event obviously coming up is July 3rd. Staff's got a lot of preparation underway for the event, starts at 4 o'clock. I hope to see all of you there. We have 2 great bands lined up. One, the first opening is a country band, and I think everybody's gonna really like the main headliner. If you actually saw, they played last night in Riverside at Fairmount Park. They play kind of rock, rockabilly, a lot of 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s music. I think it's a great family atmosphere. We're excited about that. We brought in some more food vendors this year. We changed the layout around at the park just to try and encourage people to be closer to the front of the stage instead of back by the food. We are using a different stage this year and sound company. We had some concerns with the sound last year, and we think we'll be able to address it moving forward. We've had a couple follow-up meetings now with the entire planning committee, which takes place of our staff, City Public Works regarding the road closures, fire, and the sheriff's department. So if you remember last year, it was probably the smoothest exodus from the facility we've ever had at an event. And basically the sheriff said, we're not touching anything. That worked great. We're keeping it like it is. We've increased our signage for the facility, addressed some of the issues we came up with last year. And I think it's going to be, most of that stuff wasn't noticed by the residents per se, but, we're going to tweak some things and make it even better for them going forward. Swim lessons are going phenomenal. Our aquatic staff's doing a great job, and I give them a lot of credit because they froze these last 2 weeks. It was cold for them. Frankly, the water's warmer than it was outside on many instances, but they've done great. We look through all the evaluations that we get through our recreation software systems, and those numbers are really looking good, positive comments. And I will be wrapping that up in the summer during the backup presentation to the board based on those numbers. Summer day camp is doing really well as well. They're actually going to an Angel game next week. They have a day game that we're able to make happen. They give phenomenal rates to day camp. So that'll be exciting for them. Kind of broadening their wings here and going to some other local attractions. And Mr. Godinez is kind of trying to steal my thunder there a little bit earlier here. I just wanted to pass on, about this time last year, we were making the transfer to Five Star Bank. With what they were offering us, which is comparative to the LAIF program, which is the local agency investment fund. And it's from the state of California, and they will match LAIF. As we're all aware, interest rates are really high now. You know, it's hurting all of us probably personally, but here at the district has actually been a benefit to us. Because of that, the current LAIF rate that was adopted for June, in fact, June 1, is 2.93%. We are going to exceed $250,000 in interest income this year. Now, that is primarily based on our AB 1600 funds and our CFDs. And the funds are allocated to them proportionally based upon the amount that we have invested in there. When we were with Union Bank, as you're aware, we were getting no interest. And we were paying just shy of $25,000 a year in banking fees too. So we're talking about $275,000 swing in the district's favor. So I just wanted to share that. That was some exciting news to be looking at here. So with that, you said youth basketball is also going. If you guys are bored on a Saturday, they're playing this weekend, but they have the Saturday the first off for allow families to go out of town. So for the fourth holiday, I jokingly told the staff that we probably shouldn't cancel that games. That way families stay in town and they can do July 3rd fireworks shows. Other than that, that will conclude my report this evening.
Thank you.
I have one quick question.
Yes.
On 3rd July, I assume that we did get that huge area for the overflow parking.
We were able to secure that with the, there was some concern that they didn't want to loan it to us. Staff reached out and had some talks with them and they agreed. It was their best benefit. We've offered them some signage at the event in return. They declined that. But we're making sure that they're being a good neighbor and a good partner to us. And, you know, we're going to leave it cleaner than we found it. So
It's great. I was concerned because, you know.
well, and Kurt went out there and called me, he says, Colby, you know how hard this ground is this year with all the rain? It was last year, we were a little worried people were going to stop. So all we're doing is it's going to get mowed this next week. And we pay for the mowing of it, which is a benefit to them. They don't have to do anything on it. And then we're going to do a good cleanup on it, but it's nice and firm from all the rain we've had this year. So it's going to work.
I'm glad we were able to do it again this year.
Yeah,
It worked out well last year.
Well, that's one of the reasons parking, I think, went so well. So we're excited for that partnership and we'll send a nice thank you letter to the president of the company after we did get them last year.
Colby, maybe I misunderstood Skyview Center. We had some concerns and I thought we were going to share it at this meeting, or was that scheduled some other time?
I had an update previously, but we are looking at our policies and procedures and how we're marketing the facility and making sure that we are being consistent in that. And there'll actually be some stuff coming forward to the board with our policies and procedures and fee structure in the month of July.
Well, I think that I expressed to you, not so much that, but what I expressed was some concerns that I had in the managing of that. When they would want to run it, I happened to be one of them, and so I had firsthand experience. So I got that for you.
And that's being addressed in the policies coming forward.
So will we be sharing that with boards?
That'll be coming as an agenda item.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so I saw a sign for concerts in the park, or when I went to concerts in the park for soccer leagues forming.
Yes.
Would you mind updating us?
We're taking interest lists right now, so we're looking at starting some stuff in the fall. One of the biggest requests we're getting right now is for a futsal league, which we're looking at doing indoors at the Avalon Gym. So come probably late August, early September, we start seeing the advertisement for the formation of those leagues.
Any other questions? Fantastic. We will go ahead and do board comments. Sorry, Mr. Davies.
Yes, how to write it down. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for coming out and watching Mariachi Tecuala at Rancho Miraloma Park. It's a bit difficult to explain for me, but this event meant a lot. And I'm sure the same can be said for other people in our community. If I'm being honest, I was choked up by a lot of it, but just the whole scene, because we're finally getting representation as not just Mexicans, but Latinos, and that's something we try to work with. And thank you guys for being open and working with us as well. So thank you to Mariachi Tecuala, thank you to JRPD staff, thank you to our community for showing up. And I'd say it was a historic event for us as a community. On that note, everyone is welcome to our events, our concerts in the park. No special invitation needed. So hopefully we keep getting good turnout. And also I would like to announce that I will not be attending the board meeting on July 13th. I'm traveling.
Thank you. Mrs. Byrne?
Yes, I have so many comments, but I want to articulate them just a little better than go to today. I do have some concerns in, having more information, and perhaps I'm going to put that on myself. I need to be asking more questions and inquiring, and well, I apologize for that, because tonight I felt that I needed more information to make decisions. So again, I just wanted to make that open comment.
Mr. Leach?
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed the concert at the park. This week, I had family come in from out of town, and for me, family is always number one. Looking forward in 2 weeks to the 3rd of July. It's always one of the best events we have. And that's what I have to say.
You were at the first concert in the park.
It was the first concert in the park, and that was fantastic.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
That was fantastic. It's nice when we do something new and the public supports it the way you did.
Mr. Hasselman?
Yeah, the way that Mr. Godinez also felt about that first concert in the park, I also felt that same way. And I was in the clouds, so I love the community turnout. The group was really good. I think the way everyone was interacting, and just in general, right? Like food truck, everyone was buying, buying stuff in the food trucks, everyone was dancing, very attentive. So that was a very special event. And I know within the events committee, we're working on being creative and trying to see how we can get more turnout within in general, right? For concerts in the park, and how to make it more dynamic. So I have confidence that staff that we're gonna get those results. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the concerts in the park series for the rest of the summer. And other than that, I was really pleased on that update on the interest that would generate on Five Star Bank. That was really, that's really good to hear. I think that's a big choice that we made as well. And lastly, I appreciate everyone here in the board for it. We all didn't see eye to eye on all of these comments. I think, but I think, appreciate that we all were able to have an honest conversation on a lot of these topics. So, yeah, I appreciate that. That's it for me.
I did go to the last 2 concerts in the park, and both bands were very good quality. And it doesn't really matter what music they play. It's a good band, quality band. It's great music, and there was great music at both of the concerts in the park. The first one, normally I can get to a concert in the park about 6:30. It's fine, and I arrive and it was packed. The streets were packed with cars. I'm like, what's going on? And so I have to park on a side street, and as I get out of my car, the showman's coming up, he's got some chairs, and we start talking, and he's like, yeah, I came over to check out the band, oh my gosh, it was mariachi, I had to go back and get my chair, and it was just great, and he's like, you can have one of these all the time, I'll come to every one of them. Anyway, so it's great, it was a great turnout, it was just a great evening, and Tuesday evening was good too. I agree that for whatever reason, I don't know if Rancho River Sports Park is the absolute best choice, because you don't have those people living immediately around you to go, oh, look, there's a band that decide to come on over. And so we probably need to save Rancho River Sports Park and Vernoa for that matter for the really big events, and for the more community size oriented events, we probably need to be more at the community size parks. And that's all I have. There is one committee report attached. Was there? Was there a committee report? I don't think.
No, there was not.
Okay, never mind. Are there any agenda items anyone wants for a future board meeting? Okay, our upcoming meetings are July 13th and July 27th and. Oh, I'm sorry, July 13th and July 27th is canceled. And it is 7:30, so we will go ahead and jump this meeting at 7:30. And thank you, Bob, for letting us do those, whatever millions of them in one helpful. It did help get out of here before very late in the
You're
evening.
muted again. There you go.
Shave off a few minutes, yeah.
Yes. And Ross, you have fun on that train from Williams.
Oh, yes. Randy, it's going to be, I got a feeling it's going to be.
Good night, Bob.
Good night.